So I read on Reddit that they're trying to squeeze them as much. I think the plan, sorry if I jump in, the plan was to drive the price up to like 1K, even 5K. And that would carry over, that would happen sometime next week. But with today's event called on trading, like how long can this pause on retail investors last? Until
I think last time this happened during Tesla, it was like 1 day, if I recall. And at that time, just for reference, for Tesla, in that 1 day period, previous to that 1 day halt, I think 14,000 people on Robinhood was much smaller back then, 14,000 people on Robinhood bought Tesla stock for the first time. Right? I mean, these are the type of numbers. And apparently, according to something I read, I don't know the source of it, but apparently almost 50%, almost half of the people on Robinhood bought GameStop or some form of derivative of GameStop.
Right, so if they all hold, who can these hedge funds buy from to cover their shorts?
Precisely. That's why they're trying to do. They're trying to squeeze. That's the purpose. It's just squeeze. Like we're not originally looking at GameStop when it was like when what they call deep fucking value started posting about it. I read his posts all the time. I thought it was brilliant, but also dumb at the same time. But I thought it was brilliant because the console cycle is coming in December. But basically what happened is that the play back then, previous to GameStop, was all about options. It was not about stock. Wall Street Bets was centered around buying options. But this is the first time where I saw where people without buying options were buying stock because they understood that options don't really squeeze as hard as the actual underlying stock. And then what they did in a coordinated kind of like attack, arguably, is that they sent out messages with the WSB to check with your broker if you're allowing lending of your stock to be shorted. So what they did is they went in there and they disabled it. If people were on margin accounts where they allowed their stock to be lended, they converted it. They try to convert to cash accounts where you can lend stock. And so this is the first time WSB has really gotten behind the actual stock and not gambling to a certain extent on options. That's what kind of makes it interesting. But yeah, you need the stock to squeeze. So if you just buy like a ton of options, it's not going to squeeze as hard. Even though arguably the market makers can delta hedge, like they can arguably buy the stock with delta hedge, it's not as effective. And so what you see in terms of the posts on Wall Street Bets is like people post their positions in options, and the first top comment would be like, you're not helping, buddy. Like convert your options into stock.
So I have to go. Thank you, everyone, for spending your time on here. I've learned a lot, and I will see you all next time.
So either way, these hedge funds are screwed. Is there no point of return? It's just a matter of mitigating losses.
Yeah, so that's it. They're not screwed. They're gonna take losses, but yeah, mitigating losses, and they're gonna risk regulatory and obviously lawsuits because there was a lawsuit already filed in a class action, whatnot, by like some random attorney. I mean, you look at the defense attorneys for these firms. It's like gonna be like people like Royal Campos, former SEC chairman under Bush, 2-term under Bush. That's a defense counsel. So these lawsuits at most would be a slap on the wrist, saying nobody's gonna go to jail. If there's a payout, it's gonna be like some infinitesimal breadcrumbs, like $5 million, maybe like 2 cents per Robinhood trader. Just a slap on the wrist. And so think about it, they're going to pay a fine of, let's say, $20 million compared to losing $5 to $10 billion if they didn't do this huge manipulation and coordinated attack.
So they're just going to pay like settlements out, right?
I mean, if it even gets there, like I would be surprised if it even gets to like an actual settlement. I'd say maybe I should say they'll probably get a settlement, but it won't be a sizable settlement. And the settlement will be like, some infinitesimally small slap on the wrist. You think of the cost, right? It's going to cost them, I don't know, let's say a $10 million settlement compared to a $5 billion loss. That's kind of what
I figured.
That's what they're facing. So, I mean, if you're the manager there, you're like, I don't know, Stephen Cohen or whoever, you're sitting there, you're like, well, what should I do? $5 billion loss, $10 million settlement and like 2 years in court, like, it's a no-brainer. Does anybody else in the audience, want to raise their hand, come up? Anybody else with questions?
I just want to quickly tie this all back to crypto. I think, as far as I'm concerned, the writing is on the wall that this might be like a big moment for crypto. And what I'm afraid of is the fact that this whole pump and dump history will repeat in the altcoin market. And so, I don't have any altcoins as of now, but I was kind of hoping to like learn more and dabble into some altcoin trading and stuff. But now I'm just kind of afraid that this whole pump and dump thing will, this price manipulation will just be so massive in the altcoin world as well.
So smart.
Yeah, I think like that. This is the reason why crypto was born, right? Bitcoin was born was because of 2008. Like I know some people might have been around, some people might not have been around. Honestly, if you saw how 2008 played out, it was just bullshit. Like who went to jail? Like one guy, one mid-level manager, who was the scapegoat. Like, one dude went to jail for that whole debacle. That basically we were on teetering on the collapse of arguably the free world, right? And because and who bailed them out is the taxpayers bailed them out. And on the recovery side, what we see is that who captured all the gains? The guys that we bailed out, the people that the taxpayers bailed out. And so it disproportionately, like 99, 100 to 1, disproportionately favors those guys. And so that's why actually the premise, who saw this, and that's exactly what you read his earlier writings on Bitcoin Talk. This is what it covers, and this is why. And it's not just like a rigged game; it's a super rigged game. And this is kind of the counterpoint why crypto in general is popular.
GMA's up $30.
Yeah, so someone was telling right here in Clubhouse, there's a guy, Gary Tan, and he was reading out this stat